Good morning. It's the 26th of March 2025, and it's an overcast day in Ireland, but it's a very good day. It's not raining. You're very welcome back. Now, folks, there's been uproar in the Irish Parliament called Dail Eireann. Dáil is the Gaelic word for meeting place, and there's a big uproar there. Now, the problem is that the two main parties, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, who have held power in Ireland all for since the foundation of the state, and are part of the establishment and are web woven with the establishment, and they get the vote of most of the civil service and most of the farmers, and many people who have they date back. They've been going to grannies and great grandmothers' funerals, and that's all that counts in Ireland. But they're doing favours as well. So now they have a less than a majority. There's two seats left, less below the number required for a majority of the Parliament, and they're propped up by a number of independents. Michael Lowry being one, and he's a man with a lot of form. He's from Tipperary. They vote for him there no matter what. There were all sorts of things with Dennis O'Brien and ESAT Digiphone and Ben Dunn building, doing refrigeration for him, and all this old thing going on. But that is the essential thing, and that's why it's so important to understand about Irish politics. It's nothing to do with the good of the country or indeed the good of the people themselves. They only see to the tip of their nose, and that's it. We can't fix them. And you know something? We never will. All I can do is let you know what's happening, and at least you can get off from the right foot. Also, youngsters coming on now, maybe coming 20 years of age, I can shortlist you. I can teach you now the way Irish politics works, and you'll be 45 before you discover it yourself. It's the same as doing a driving course. You learn things in a week that would take you yourself 9 or 10 years to learn. So we can't change them, but we can make people aware of how it works, and that's very important and very useful. So that what's happening now is that you know that in Europe, in the European Union, democracy is dying out. They're cancelling the democratic process all over Europe. They are trying to fine Hungary because Viktor Orban is his own man. They're trying to come down on Slovakia because Fici is his own man. And then there's another man got elected in Romania, and they got the courts to cancel him, and they have all the right-wing parties cancelled, except with the one exception of Italy, where Giorgia Meloni is the Prime Minister, and she's given them holy hell, and they can't really hit Italy too well, because Italy is a very important country. So fair play to Georgina there. She's a member of the World Conservative Organization, a great girl. But they're still trying it and trying it on. And you know that this is all neoconservatives, they call them. And they have certain traits. And one is they have to have a war roughly every 40 years, 45 years. And they're due a war now, and they're trying very hard to start a world war. And they would have got it going only for the Donald Trump is having second thoughts about it. He's not trying to fight it for them, but the frustration that's been felt in Europe for no war is unbelievable. Now, the thing about it is that permeates right down to Ireland, and somebody posted on one of my videos there recently that Fine Gael is tied to the Tory party. That's not true. Fine Gael is not connected to the Tory party in England. It may have been a little bit long ago, but no, it's not. Fine Gael and the American Democratic Party is as one. Francis Fitzgerald attended the 2016 Democratic Convention to select Hillary Clinton and recommended she get it. And she gave between 5 and 15 million Irish euros to the Hillary Clinton Foundation, and that was out of taxpayer funds. It was not out of Fine Gael funds, it was out of taxpayer funds. I can't get the exact amount, and nobody will ask in the Dáil. So now what's happening now in Ireland is that's being carried forward, and they want a situation in Ireland where they don't have to answer any questions. In the parliamentary system of Canada, of Ireland, and of Great Britain, there is a tradition that the Prime Minister has to subject himself to Prime Minister's question time. And that's the same. That is always the same here in Ireland. And it's a very useful exercise where the ordinary elected TDs get to ask the Taoiseach questions. And then each minister is subject to the same thing. The same thing. Now, they increased the number of seats in the Dáil, the number of TDs the last time, and that was a big mistake in my view. They should have increased the number of people per TD, because the more TDs you have, the more excuses they have for shutting them out. So they don't want to hear from the opposition, and that includes Sinn Féin, Labour, the Democratic, what do you call them, People Before Profit, and all of these, and they're actually trying to shut them down. And that's the same extension as you have with in Britain. It hasn't come in Britain yet, but they're trying to stop the local elections in Britain, and there are serious problems with democracy in Britain. But in the EU, it's the same. It's the same thing. They're bypassing conservative views, and indeed they're bypassing common sense views. And I was campaigning for years to get the Strategic Environmental Assessment Directive implemented for energy, and they won't do it because the result would be that the windmills and the solar panels are a complete scam, and indeed the electric cars. So, but that they have a way of shutting it, so that they shut out any questions whatsoever. And it works for them very well. And the Irish voters in Ireland, they absolutely love politicians that shut out all opposition, that say that's the stuff. You tell them nothing. This is the way they go on. So it's a sad situation, but I can only report it. Now, anyway, so the row arose over the speaking rights, and Verona Murphy is the Can Córa, or the Speaker of the Parliament, and she's from Wexford, and she led a transport company. She's a good businesswoman, and she took the job, mistakenly in my view, of Speaker, and that suited the parties. I was disappointed she did. But she did it, and now there's a vote of no confidence in her. The government are doggedly sticking to the reduction of the speaking rights for the other parties, for the opposition. And she's caught in the middle trying to administer this. And this is why a big mistake was made. I done my best. I put myself forward for election in the Cavan Monaghan constituency in the last election. I didn't get elected. I did all right, but I didn't get elected. Now, had they elected me, you would have a situation where they could say to me, will you do the job of Can Córa? And although, I'm better off, I look at all the work I get done without being a TD. I don't know how my farming and that would falter big time. It'd be a problem. But in any event, anyway, if I were up there and for the good of the country, I would take the job probably. And the first thing I would do is I'd get all the rules and I'd read them up, down and across. I'd read them backwards and frontways. I'd have a word with previous speakers, Can Córa, and I'd have questioned them. If there was any Attorney General, I'd get all of that. I'd get the law right for a start. And then I'd come in and I'd hit the gravel off the bench, and I'd call order. And they'd do it my way or they wouldn't do it at all. So I'd say, we're laying down the law. These are the rules here. And I'd interpret them fairly and honestly, giving everyone a say. The government would kick up and object, and I'd be straight into the High Court. Straight in, naming Micheál Martin or whoever they are, the Taoiseach or the Taoiseach or Simon Harris as the respondent, to say that they were breaking the Constitution and the laws of the Dáil. And they'd try fighting me, but if they did, they'd lose. And I'd go up to the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court, and that had really embarrassed them. I'd take no nonsense from them. And you see, the people of Cavan Monaghan had that option. And in the last seat, Niamh Smith got it. It was down to Niamh Smith, and she got it. And she's been appointed minister, a junior minister for IT, for AI. And the people who voted for her thinks that AI is artificial insemination for the cows. They don't realise that AI is artificial intelligence. And she admitted in the Anglo Cell she doesn't have a clue what it's about. How would she? She's no education in that area at all. But then nobody else has either. So it's an idiocracy. So they could have had me there, and look at the order you would have on the country. It'd be done by the book. An old guard, as they like to throw up at me, I'd make them toe the line and there'd be no messing. And we'd have our government on running as best as it could do. Only saying. I'm only saying. That's what the people of Cabanmullen threw away. But anyway, I'm better off. At least I can go out and do my work today. So, Ivana Banshee, the Labour Party leader, is giving out stink. She's given out stink about Lowry, and she called on him to go and leave politics. He was in the Digiphone racket. He was in Ben Dunn, and he was in all these things. And he has a flawed pedigree, as Dr. Fitzgerald said about Charlie Haughey. But the people from Roscrea love him to bits. The owl ones in North Tipperary go to say prayers, go to bed, and they pray for Michael Lowry. They love him. The love of the Irish person for the politician is a form of love that has never been fully quantified, and it'll make a great thesis. They love them to bits, and they're going to vote for Lowry. And the trouble is, the Irish law means that if Lowry dies, I'll not laugh or cry at that. I suppose it's not right to wish anyone death. I won't do that. But when he dies, they want him left on the ballot paper for 3 elections. And when they're dying, the last words they say is, I can't vote for Michael Lowry again. That's the people of North Tipperary, especially the ones going to communion. And then they're thumping their craw. And they put in this fella. But he is one of the people that's backing up the government along with the Healy Rays. Now, the Healy Rays are self-made men. They're all multi-millionaires. You can give out about them, but they're fierce hard workers. Oh my God. The taxi man was telling me in Dublin that he lifted Michael one day and he had four of these going at the one time. Fellas' tractors breaking down and lads looking for help here and help there. So workaholics, that's what they are. So Paul Murphy's given out about it. He's the socialist. I've given you my opinion on socialism. And they don't want to be questioned. And this is just an extension of the lack of democracy in Europe. They're being told how to do it. Shut down all opposition. Nobody gives a damn in Ireland. Nobody cares. The British people, somewhere or other, elected Keir Starmer, and you get what you vote for. Really is sad that we can't have a proper Dáil where proper public debate take place. And if I had got elected and wasn't the Can Córa, and I wouldn't be, I wouldn't get a question in. You'd sit there and there's nothing you could do. You're as useful as a sheep out in the field. Now, to try and clarify this, and I don't watch radio or television, what they want is, they want the 3 TDs or the few TDs who are supporting them in votes, a minority government, to sit on the opposition benches and be included in the opposition for questions and all that. But the point the other crowd are making is that the ones who are propping up the government should be on the other side, answering the questions. And this, in my mind, and this is my interpretation of it for people, don't forget we have people all over the globe watching this channel. That would mean if it was done with the politicians supporting the government, with the government, and being questioned with the government, and treated as part of government, the likes of Paul Murphy and Ivana Banshee and all of these could ask a question of Michael Healy-Rae relevant to government. And there's where they'd be caught because they don't have the brains to answer anything, and they don't know what they're doing, and they don't want to know what they're doing, and they don't care. And Michael Lowry is in there, he's rubbing shoulders with his ex-Fine Gael party, and he doesn't want to have to answer for him voting for the government. That's my interpretation of it. Definitely post underneath. So what the government wants to do is put them on the opposition benches. So Vanna Bansky can't talk to the government across and say, Minister so-and-so, you tell us why is this or that. Michael, Mr. Deputy Healy-Rae, you're with the government. Why are you doing this? They want to put them behind them on the opposition benches so that they're treated as the opposition. So that the likes of Vanna Bansky, which he criticizes the government and say, look what you're doing, and I'm no fan of hers, she's not attacking the TDs that are supporting the government. Do you get me point? Now, just to reiterate there, right, there was a vote on the 25th of March yesterday. The government won it by the vote of these independents, and it drove the opposition mad. Have I explained it the best as you can? You have the lads of the opposition supporting the government and being treated as the opposition, and they're not going to ask any questions. So the idea is to cut back the number of questions being asked, and this is typical deep state World Economic Forum. You seen Micheál Martin when he was over with Trump, he couldn't handle himself at all. Their incompetence is to reduce the number of questions that the Taoiseach and the ministers have to answer. And this is all to reduce the amount of accountability in Irish government, which is to be expected. This is the fault of your neighbours who voted Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. I'm not saying Sinn Féin will be any better, but they might ask a question. They're still entitled to ask questions. I said before in my election, people owed me favours and went in and voted for me and turned around and voted for the conventional parties after that to support Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. And they know they have the support of enough people to do. But their number of votes is going down, and part of my YouTube channel here is to cut down those votes, reduce them down. His health service executive in Ireland gave away 14 million of overpayments in an audit. And there's the auditors doing their job. That's going to be swept under the carpet. When auditors do their job, they're laughed at. And then we complain auditors are not doing their job. 14 million overpaid. The only little thing about it is there are bodies there trying to count up what's happening. They give it to people in the health service more than they're entitled to. Lump sums. Someone there at her desk, Paddy was a nice fella. We'll give him 100,000 more. The bicycle shed was 330,000. The security hut was 1.3 million. So this extravagance is continuing. And this is the identical to US aid in America, where they had a special body set up by John F. Kennedy, which was hijacked and used for a slush fund for all these. And this is why Rosie O'Donnell was over here whinging. The fact that the Department of Energy Efficiency in America, DOGE, under Elon Musk, is watching out and cutting this money. She blew a fuse and she ran to Ireland, got on the Late Late Show, and she's happy over here because the same is happening here. So if she can get money given to her or causes, millions and millions, and she'll probably end up getting a Senate seat, I'd say she will. Millions and millions. I mean, she didn't come over here for a cause. She knew well before she came over the Democratic Party were there and the Harrises and the Fine Gaels were there to guide her straight into where she should settle, where she should go, and they'll be eventually giving her a post as a senator more than likely. Or put her up for election and the donkeys idiots in Dublin will vote for her, probably around O'Leary or somewhere. But that was it, 14 million overpaid. So this extravagance is set to continue. And that is why the Department of Energy Efficiency in America is scaring the wits out of them. If you had an efficiency service running extra to the government, it would spot that and stop it before it's paid. So they are throwing out our money. 6 billion a year on non-governmental organisations. Anyway, the plan is, according to some media sources, that the Taoiseach will just come in for an hour every week, the Taoiseach will come in for an hour every week, and the ministers an hour every week. So on a Thursday, whatever day it'll be, it'll come the Taoiseach. There'll only be 1 hour to get questions. So you can imagine me, Deputy Val Martin from Cavan Monaghan, up there wanting to ask a question about the energy policy. You wouldn't get in. They'll allocate the places to somebody else. The Taoiseach the same. The Minister for Energy the same. That's why the only way we can hackle them is get them through the courts. They can't stop that. So there's the situation, folks. There are reports that Michael Lowry gave the two fingers to them. Essentially, they are not winning in the long run. It's an unstable government. Could collapse. Verona Murphy now under pressure, and her problem is she doesn't know the rules. If she knew the rules and enforced them, but it's probably not a job for a person like her. That's a job for the like of me, to lay down the law and say, this is the law, take it or leave it, and follow it through to the courts and force them to comply. But in the end of the day, their vote is coming down. So if we can pull down the vote in each election, suppose there's another election, they won't elect me, of course, but pull down the votes. Maybe replace Niamh Smith with, what do you call her, the Aintu girl, Riley, Sarah Riley. Pull down the votes of these parties. You get to a stage where it needs 7 or 8 independents, and then you might have some form of democracy restored. But ultimately, it's the stupid Paddy that believes he has to vote for Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael that's the cause of this, and they're really telling him, we got your vote, now you hump off. They're out throwing away the money round them and printed money, and that's not good. That's the story, folks, but you must look at it from the World Economic Forum, the neocons, the deep state, the whole system, trickling down through the US Democratic Party, through the British Party, both the parties in Britain, to Europe with Macron, to the Germans with this Merck Hertz fella. You must see they're still in there, but they're being threatened. They're being threatened as the right wing, or as they call them, or the Conservatives move in. And Trump, because of the electoral system in America, got in. And this is a terrible blow to them. It's a terrible blow. It doesn't mean that we can win here, but it's a terrible blow, and Trump knows that. The EU is not a democratic organisation. It picks the leaders it wants. And if Ireland picked a Taoiseach like me, they'd invade Ireland and put me out and kill me. And they tried to kill Trump twice. These are vicious, vicious people who own the world, who own the Western world, and are edging for war. They had war in 1914, 1939, and they're long by the stage for a war, and they need someone in Europe to fight with, and that's Russia. And there's big pressure on to get that war going. And you can't really justify a war in Dail Eireann and things like neutrality if everyone in opposition gets a say, particularly when you're a minority government. So I think I've explained the system to you folks. I think I've explained it the best as I understand it, and feel free to comment underneath. And those fellas that are there commenting garble, I noticed there, Paddy Mickey. I think that man's on drugs, or maybe he's in a home. He might be in a mental institution. No rhyme or reason what they're printing underneath. I mean, there's some very, very disturbed people in this country. It can be seen that it's a desire for a one-party system run by the neocons, deep state, World Economic Forum, George Soros, doesn't matter whom. It has this kind of a destructive socialist aspect to it. It has the mass migration, because if you keep bringing in people, they'll not see the racket that's being perpetrated. They'll not see it. Those new people will probably vote for Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. So it needs a constant state of those, and it needs a constant stream of poor people to vote left-wing socialism on the promise of greater times ahead. I've explained that to you. That only for America we were finished. We were finished. Ireland would be the same as an African country. It's bad as it is, but it would accelerate a lot faster. And America now has the brakes on it. And you see the resistance there is to the administration. And J.D. Vance, who could be the next president, has spotted this trend. The exact way it works doesn't matter. All we know is it does work. This is the system of government that's in place in England, in France, in Germany. It's been resisted by Georgina Maloney and by Donald J. Trump. And that's the only place they have a majority that they can do this. And Viktor Orban in, in Hungary. So they're not getting it all their own way, but this is the reality of the racket in the Dáil. But Verona Murphy should have read the rule book and laid down the law and said this is how it'll be and let them put her out. Comment underneath. That J.D. Vance, the Vice President, he's made a statement to say that the way it's going in Europe, the people will not be in control at all. And you can see that where they're trying to move people into flats and towns and building blocks of flats and towns. They don't want people living out the country. They don't want us with cars and many things. That's the bottom line. That's a longer video than I thought, but there's uproar in the Dáil. The government might actually fall. We don't know. Comment underneath. And don't be afraid that those fellas that are writing ridiculous stuff, give an answer to them there and let them justify what they're writing. They don't seem to ever respond to anything that's said. Anyway, folks, that's the story. That's my make on the Dáil uproar at the moment in the Irish Parliament. Bye-bye. Thank you.